G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a micro missile launcher. This weapon is not an extension of the vanilla game missile launcher. It is in fact a standalone weapon, which means it's going to look very similar, but behave a little bit differently, I suppose. And the modder has greatly used vanilla assets here pretty creatively. You'll see the missile launcher stabilizer, which is normally on the other end of this thing, on the back blast port, and the magazine here looks to be that of a hunting rifle. You can tell by this slight angle here, and it's a very small thing, so it fits very snugly in the hunting rifle. We can swap that out a little bit later. You can also see the targeting computer assembly there, which is laying dormant now, but good for greebling. It's a nice looking weapon, I suppose. Could do with a little bit of a paint job, but that's just the standard Fallout textures there. I suppose realistically, you could probably just overwrite the textures with the Creation Club stuff if you wanted and have that run away. And you could probably put the Creation Club textures on this. The only thing is you probably wouldn't get it for the magazine because it's part of a different weapon. It would be on a different texture set. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. Let's get into the attachments. First of all, we've got the magazines. You can have a medium magazine, which makes it look like a combat rifle magazine, or a large one, which is yet again another combat rifle, or it could be a hunting rifle one, either. But I think they're pretty similar, so you wouldn't be too mad at me if I end up getting this one wrong, did I? No. Anyways, that gives us the most ammo capacity and a giant counterweight on the front, so no recoil for us. And you can have some sights on this. Right now it's got the standard sights. The enhanced sights look like they add a little bit of a glow dot on the front post of this sight. Or you could have a standard scope in 4, 6, or 10 times, which is basically what you'd get in the vanilla game anyway. In terms of zooming, normally the missile launcher only has a very long scope. I think it'd be up to like 8 times or something. Now you'd have to have a pretty fast projectile to make use of the 10 times scope. So what we'll do is we'll just go for a 4 times scope so we can aim out from afar, but not enough that our slow projectiles won't actually screw us over on their flight over to our targets. And right now we've got high explosive ammunition loaded, but there's 6 other types for you to look at, or 5 other types, 6 in total, including anti-tank, cryo, hive, plasma, and pulse. Anti-tank, less explosion radius, higher damage, and explosion ignores line of sight, so I guess you kill people with the shockwave, so maybe we might be able to hit those pillars that the gunners always hide behind and actually kill them through that. So that's actually kind of interesting, so we'll go for that one, I think. There's also cryo, which gives you energy damage, slows down targets, has a chance to knock down. Hive is like a cluster bomb, which is giving me epic cumulative damage, but the damage card is not really showing it, so perhaps they are unlisted as far as the damage card is concerned. Plasma is just a straight up upgrade, or also change your explosion into a big green effect like you'd see in the vanilla game. And a pulse is there. It's better against robots, synths, and power armor, but we're not going to be fighting too much of those, so we'll put that on the back burner for now. We'll go for the anti-tank ammunition for starters. Right now we've got a standard frame. We can increase our damage for weight or decrease our damage for a decreased weight here. So if this thing's a little bit too heavy, you've got a lower strength character in a survival mode where your carry weight is most certainly more precious, then you can make this a little bit lighter. You'll be sacrificing damage, but honestly 427 damage in survival mode will probably do you pretty well anyway. We're going to go full damage here. That brings us almost to 600 damage, which is nice. And for reference, the missile launcher does around 800 when I've got all of my perks spec'd into it. So that's pretty good, but we can bring this almost all the way there. An overpowered receiver will actually net us over 1,000 damage. Now, whether that's cheating, like it's pretty blatant that it's cheating, right? Overpowered receiver. It might just be semantics here, but if you wanted a receiver that's higher than advanced, I probably wouldn't call it overpowered because then it does feel like cheated. I would say I would call it a superior receiver. Yeah? I'm going to put this on anyway and pretend that I read superior receiver. Yes, that's not cheating at all. And right now we're on standard mode. You can have a lock-on burst, which has a 3-round burst in ADS, which is awesome. Or you could have a rapid loader, which is basically this thing automatic, which is awesome, but you'll cost yourself a little bit of damage doing that. Kind of baited by the 69 here, but I think we can just go standard here. This will be our straight up one-shot, one-kill damage version with the anti-tank micro missiles. You also get a legendary effect if you need it. I'm going to craft multiple of these so I can switch over. But normally, if you're happy with the one missile launcher and don't want to test out multiple attachments and projectiles, you can use the ammo switcher. Here's how you get them. In order to get the micro missile launcher into your hands in-game, simply go to a chemistry workbench, find the micro missile sub-menu, and here you'll have all you need, including an ammo switcher, something for you to put on your hotbar to rapidly change ammo types without having to go to a workbench. Very, very useful. As well as the 6 different ammo types for the micro missile, including anti-tank, cryo, high explosive, hive, plasma, and last but not least, pulse. You might notice how there's 3 different recipes for each of the ammo types, and what you'll find is that you'll get exponentially more with the higher crafting requirements. For example, with the anti-tank, if I have the required 2 missiles here for the lowest amount of missiles actually put into this crafting recipe, I'll get 3 micro missiles for anti-tank out of that. However, if I do 20 missiles, if I put 20 missiles into it, I actually get 60 back, which is about double that you'd get if you'd put in 20 missiles with the recipe here. So because you'll only be putting 10 into those, because 2 times 10 equals 20, and you'll have 30 anti-tank missiles. So I basically doubled my yield. So hold on to your supplies, make sure you've got a lot of resources, and you'll get more bang for your buck using the higher crafting requirements. And you can also craft the weapon itself. It's down here. You'll need aluminum or aluminium if you're not inbred. Also circuitry, a combat shotgun, and a missile launcher. And there she goes. We've got one now, and we may as well start crafting some of these. Remember, have the higher crafting yields, get better bang for your buck. Okay, we're outside of Immersive Gunners Plaza. Most of us have already probably seen a missile launcher before, but that's what it looks like in first person. It's like a missile launcher with a giant magazine blocking your vision. It's a little bit like the Institute rifle, I guess. I have multiple variants of these all ready to go. None of them are hotkeyed, so I know exactly what I'm switching to, because you can't really make them visually distinct, and I didn't make the magazine sizes different on the different ammo types because I wanted all magazines to be really big. Anyways, so 4x scope, anti-tank, AT. Let's get started. And, well, did I kill that guy? I think I did. Is there a little bit of missile drop in this? I didn't expect to see that. And, okay, LOS, I'm not really sure what that means. I thought that meant like line of sight or something. We're kind of just standing in the open here. And the explosion radius is doing a pretty good job to get us in. There is a little bit of drop here. That's actually kind of cool. I don't mind that, actually, because I'm going to have to put a little bit of thought into aiming this thing. And the projectile seems pretty fast as well. So I feel like for a sniping weapon, it's not even that bad, provided your targets aren't moving around that much. But as you can tell, anti-tank, it's just one-shotting everything, and these guys are making themselves a little bit easier to hit than normal. So let's switch over to Hive instead. So this is going to be like a shotgun rocket, right? And these projectiles, you'll note, are a little bit reminiscent of what the Sentry Bot fires. And if you can get all of the targets to hit, I would say, cumulatively speaking, that the damage is, as advertised, epic. Especially since you can just fire it this fast. I almost killed myself. Lovely. Alright, well, let's try not to do that again. We'll try to get some heals happening. We'll spray some rockets over in that direction. And now it's, well, it was going to be a cruisy run, then I decided to do that. And it looks like I have to sort of angle those missiles up high. There we go. Got there eventually. Alright. Surprisingly effective weapon. Let's switch over to the plasma. This one has the lock-on functionality and the aim down sights burst fire. And yeah, if I lock onto them, these guys aren't going to survive. And sometimes you can lock onto things and just fire it from a range where... What are you shooting at, buddy? Where are you? Can't see you. There you are. Let me just lock onto that and mortar around the corner. I am actually noticing that despite this thing being more semi-auto when you're not aiming down sights, if you rapidly pull the trigger, or rather, I suppose, well, I managed to get it burst firing outside of aiming down sights, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Sometimes it takes a bit for the Deadeye effect to trigger when you aim down sights, so I'm guessing it's got something similar that's going on to that. Because I was aiming down sights, and basically the frame I stopped aiming down sights, I was able to get that burst off. Anyways, let's go over to Cryo now. Chill out, gunner. So, as expected, it goes off a little bit like a cryogenic grenade that you'd find in the Institute or somewhere in Appalachia, I guess. They just had those. This is, again, a burst fire receiver. And the 3-round burst is going to basically end any of these guys. And we've still got those gunners in there. I think the only thing missing from this is probably a nuclear missile projectile. And for a Fallout game, like, that's the one ammo type that you don't really want to miss. And there's a little Miss Creation Club around. Don't know. Can I get a rocket through there? I certainly cannot. But I'll try to get the radius of explosions to work for me here. That second hit did 1300 damage, which is pretty good. I feel like the range of the explosion varies somewhat because I've been getting wildly inconsistent damage results here. Sometimes I don't even hit at all. See, that one was ages away. I think I even froze that one. Also, they threw a Molotov through there, so yeah, they must think it's a little bit too cool. What else we got here? The Sniper HE. So this is one with a 10-time scope. The projectile seems to be a little bit slower than anticipated, so perhaps a little bit of a wasted scope opportunity here. Also, I can lean still. I've still got that mod installed, so peek around the corner. Hello. Throw some high explosives in there. Clear out the room in but a few shots. Well, actually, they did that for me by virtue of running out of it, of course, but you get what I mean. So, that was good, and we didn't even test the last one, Pulse, which we'll get to later. We'll just have to be patient with that one, but yeah, we actually crushed Gunner's Plaza here. Possibly the overpowered receiver is not meant to be used in normal video game circumstances or gameplay circumstances, but for a endgame weapon that you could pretty reliably get ammo for, like going to a shop down in Good Neighbor or possibly Diamond City, it could net you 10, 15, maybe even 20 missiles, and that's 60 of the micro missiles ready to go. And I've just shown right there that you don't need a lot of micro missiles to get a lot of killing done. Unfortunately, as a heavy weapon, not compatible under normal circumstances with classic holstered weapons. You can make it do that, but having the Fat Man on your back isn't as good as it is in Fallout New Vegas. It doesn't really sit properly, and a minigun obviously is not going to work either. But you could have it working, but I don't. Alright, so the plan against Swan and all of his mates is that... Hang on, we should probably stop locking onto that now, please. Thank you. I'm very surprised that didn't hit that guy. What's the explosion radius on this? Okay, that got it done. Anyways, so I'm going to lock on from far ranges, and then I'm going to burst fire and see what we can do. Alright. So, we have the Cryo listed as being able to knock stuff down, and I'm wondering whether this applies here. Is that just a random ghoul? I think it is. He actually got out of the way just in time. This one, however, doesn't lock on. He's a big target, though, so I should be able to hit him anyway. Well, I am staggering him pretty nicely. He's knocked himself down there thanks to that little bug. There's the burst fire I wanted. Looks like we can stop him right in his tracks. He doesn't like the cold hits. There's the knockdown we needed. Very nice. So, whilst not being the most damaging variant, you can certainly stop enemies in their tracks. So if you want to, like, skirt around an enemy, juggle them for a little bit whilst you're taking on something a little bit more scarier, which in this case is not much more scarier than Swan, but buying yourself time, basically. That's what you can do with this thing. So, that's pretty good. Let's move on to another thing. Okay, so for this one, I want to do a little bit of sniping. So I've grabbed one with the 10-time scope, and we're going to see how well this works out. And we can target from ages away. I think the trick here is getting the drop done right. And we've got these little things to guide us. It's like firing mortar shells at this point. We're so far out that we can't even use the little cross wires or whatever on the scope there, little crosshairs that are lower, which under normal circumstances you'd never use anyway, right? Because all of the bullet guns in this game are basically hit scan. That was a direct hit. Yes, meant to do that. That was just advanced target leading. All these years of playing Bethesda games has let me completely and utterly always predict where the AI will move in every situation. We'll fire a few mortars over there. Maybe we can get that one hiding behind that dumpster if we haven't already. We may have already done it, but it doesn't hurt to double tap. That one's just a little basic baby raider. He didn't last very long. And I suppose we could go for a bash kill, right? If we really wanted to. I'm gonna pay for that, am I? Why don't you come out and collect the debt? I'm sure you'll... I'm not even hiding. I've barely crouched this entire video. Come on. You know what? He'll catch up. Or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll learn his lesson, seeing his friend painted across everything. Alright, we should be able to pick up a few kills here. There's a, what is it, a waster here? We might be able to poke them. Well, I'm not kicking, to be honest. And alright, it's a battle of the melee weapons. She took a pull cue and I whacked her and beat her to death with a missile launcher, which I suppose, like, in a real-life playback, that would have been a very brutal beatdown, because obviously you're not going to stand there and just fairy tap them with the missile launcher. Milo Queen goes down in one shot. Pretty standard stuff there for a weapon of this caliber. Let's fire some missiles over in Mr. Killclaw Overlord's direction. Successfully sniped, I think. Kept him well in his tracks, thanks to the fact that I kept the, I just kept staggering him so he couldn't even move. We'll throw some cluster bombs over there, because these guys are moving a little bit faster, slightly easier to hit on these giant things. What is that? What are they? Are they deer? Are they? What am I looking at there? Kind of odd silhouettes. They are radhorners. Oh, they're goats. Alright, and there's also another little thing right there. That's a possum. Not the ones from Fallout 76. Although they kind of are. But not the same assets they made them. But I didn't know there was goats there. I'm going to leave them alone. I'm going to leave them alone. They're Collingwood players. Greatest of all time. Okay, time to finally utilize the pulse. There's a guy in power armor there, which I tried to VATS, but ended up leaning on. Let's go for a head. We'll go for a critical here, because screw this guy. Well, I gotta say I'm a little bit disappointed in that. We'll keep going regardless. I just got flashbang. Do you fucking dog starver? Good recovery though. I'm on Team Gulper again. That Gulper won't come after me. And boom bugs. Actually, I should be able to get away with firing this thing pretty close to myself and not hurting. Although that bug definitely copped a pretty fair beating from this. So yeah, probably would have one-shotted that guy with an anti-tank, but you know, anti-tank is anti-tank. Anything lesser than a tank presumably would be killed easily by such a thing. And the projectile speed for the pulse seems to be pretty high. I'm gonna go spam. Is that it? That's not a hermit crab, is it? I think it is a hermit crab over there. Anyways, Ahab World Slayer. He's resisting my things pretty well at the moment. We'll throw a few more his way. I'd like to hit the... I think I see the mysterious stranger behind me. Yes, there he is. I don't know what he's going to be doing. He won't take a shot because he's nowhere near dead. And now I am pulsing myself. And he's gonna punch me to death, I suppose. Ow. Alright, so it appears that the EMP is greatly underpowered here, even though I can bounce it off the ground there and not do much damage to myself. It's just not doing the job. So, okay, that's kind of a write-off. Let's go with... We might be able to get a stagger here. We might be able to... Yes, we can. This is certainly slower, but this distance that I'm getting, don't worry. It's gonna make sense in a second. Enter anti-tank variant. Still can't target the fusion cores, whatever. Now, unfortunately, this is not going to be automatic at all, and now he's charging forward again. Probably get that crit off as soon as possible. Okay, we point blanked there, but that's okay. We actually did pretty well to tank that, as it turns out. We'll try to knock him back even further here. And maybe we'll hit him with the cluster bomb launcher variant, because I feel like this is going to be doing a lot. And it's such a big target that most of these will hit anyway, right? Oh yeah, that's doing the stuff. That's doing the job. Make sure we don't run across ourselves now. And if that monster wants to distract the robot for a second, I think that's worked out pretty well for me. There's usually a sentry bot that lives around here when you... Oh, nice, he got launched. Alright, so it looks like we did get a nuclear explosion in the end. It was just a giant sentry bot we had to slay for it. But yeah, in the vanilla game, there's usually a sentry bot that wanders around here that usually messes up early game players. That's a definite keep out guy. But he doesn't respawn. He's not around here. I would have tested that. Probably would have done slightly better against him. But yeah, it doesn't look like the pulse is that good. So if they want to go ahead and re-look at that, maybe just add a ballistic component to it. And I don't know if the 3 times damage is working all that well. I guess it did alright, but yeah, it's ineffective against weapons that are or ammo types that are effective against literally anything else. So there's very little utility in it when you can just get a high explosive projectile or the cluster bomb, hive missiles, and then have a better damage output in and of itself. Anyways, so that there was a micro missile launcher. Highly recommend it. I'm a sucker for weapon mods that retool and reuse vanilla assets to do good. Also, if you're wondering, that sound is from the flare gun. Also, I killed something. I wasn't even looking. I don't have to look. I'll probably kill that thing in the background as well. Anyway, so if you're looking to find this weapon in your game, check out the link in the description. I highly recommend it if there's an Xbox port, which I'm sure there will be. I feel like that T6M is a bit conscientious about this. It'll be there too. Thank you very much for watching, guys.